Public comment period. Views expressed by the individuals during the public comment period do not necessarily reflect the views of the city of Fremont and have not been verified for accuracy by the city. As a reminder, the city council and staff are not permitted to respond to comments or questions during the public comment period. In accordance with Fremont Municipal Code, Section 2-103, public comments will be limited to 3 minutes per person and shall not contain topics included on this evening's agenda.
Mr. Mayor, the first speaker is Ellen Lund.
Hello, my name is Ellen Lund. I live at 1929 North Broad Street. And guess what? We're back because the trucks are back too. I think the residents of Broad Street, and I'm pretty sure the city council and staff, hoped that trucks would get out of the habit of using our street as a common thoroughfare during construction. Unfortunately, that doesn't seem to be the case. And at certain times, the opposite seems to be true, as the definition of the EGT made local people more apt to use it, and the signage has not been changed to reflect Ordinance 5708 restriction to local trucks only. It seems to be that a strategy needs to be developed to make the truck traffic on Broad Street seem a little less convenient. First of all, signage, at least at my end of Broad Street, does not discourage use. On the corner of 23rd and Broad, going east and west, there's a sign that says truck route that points to North and South Broad from that vantage point. It nowhere says that that is for local traffic only. That needs to be changed. We would like to also see the speed limit lowered. We'd love 25, but we could live with 30. But the residents of this area deserve this treatment as much as the residents of 16th or 19th Street, where the limit on 19th is 25 miles per hour. We also need a pedestrian-controlled stoplight on 19th and Broad for the convenience of walkers and the runners, including Fremont's cross country team, who frequent this corner. I have never once seen a car or truck stop on Broad Street for any pedestrian waiting in that intersection, which the window of my office faces, and I sit there for hours every week. Is that common courtesy null and void on a truck route? Also, enforcement needs to be a priority. I go to Trinity Lutheran Church, so I travel back and forth on 16th Street most Sundays. There is often a patrol car strategically parked in the high school lot or in the Claremore lot. I know this and have seen people ticketed on that street. And guess what? I watch my speed very carefully on this road, whether there's a police presence or not. So regular enforcement does work. I have rarely, if ever, seen a truck pulled over on Broad Street for any infraction. And I can tell you they speed frequently and they use engine braking. If we on Broad Street must make peace with some local trucks on Broad Street, it should truly be local trucks that are willing to follow our traffic speed limits, not use engine brakes, and are considerate of people who are using the sidewalk for running and walking. I would also like to say that construction was so pleasant. Whoever was the contractors and the city staff people who we interacted with on Broad Street were so respectful of our property. I can't tell you how many times they made a temporary driveway for Greg and I to get out of our driveway. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
The next speaker is Jean Chapelier. Thank you.
Mayor, Council, my name is Gene Chapelier. I live at 1940 North Broad Street. I'm here as a concerned resident asking for you to take meaningful action to limit the semi trucks on Broad Street. It's a residential street. When Broad Street was designated a U.S. highway, it was under state control. Once the southeast bypass was completed, a safer, more appropriate route for through traffic exists. The city of Fremont accepted a jurisdictional transfer from NDOT. That transfer did two critical things. It gave the city full responsibility of the road. Secondly, it gave the city full authority to set the rules. That decision recognized an important principle. Heavy traffic does not belong in residential neighborhoods when a viable alternative exists. Our road is under the city control. The next step forward is to pass city ordinance that makes it legal for authorities to establish truck districts and weights such as maybe 26,000 pounds. But the rules aren't enough. These changes to work must be implemented in the real world. That means clear, legal, enforceable signage, and that could also mean such thing as narrowing lanes, turn restrictions, traffic calming measures, permanent or even temporary road humps. And just importantly, this means updating GPS and truck navigation systems. Today, many semi-drivers rely on GPS. Cities can and do fix this by submitting authoritative data to mapping providers like Google, Here, TomTom, Apple Maps, and OpenStreetMaps. Companies like Here and TomTom provide the most commercial navigation systems, and they specifically filter routes by weight and size. If the city tells them that the street has no through trucks, those routes will simply not be there for their use. This is about safety, quality of life, and common sense planning. Residential streets are not built for consistent heavy traffic. Fremont has already proven they can balance economic needs with neighborhood protection. Please take the next steps to make this place family and not freight friendly. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, the next speaker is Larry Marvin.
My name is Larry Marvin, 1945 Morningside Road, Apartment 124, Fremont. Our city electric building, the utilities department for the electricity, gave me a $6.75 late fee. And I object to that and want that money back because I pay on time and our business across the street is also socialism. Socialism, we own you, we own the business of the post office across the street. It took them 42 days to get my Christmas card to my sister in New Mexico. And so what's the explanation? They're the problem and you have more influence than I do and you need to jack them up. They need to give an apology and tell the businesses to stop giving us late fees when it's their fault. I pay on time, and I imagine other people do too. And I think that's fraud to charge me that. No. Well, I paid it, you know, I object to it very strongly, but I pay my bills on time. And then the Christmas card to my sister, the US Postal Service. I went over and I took 3 of my bills that were billed late. They told me that I owed the thing. So I put another stamp. I put a stamp on a new envelope, took it over there and told them they're double dipping because to get my check to the providers, I have to put 2 stamps on it. And so they're double dipping over there. And you need to understand that I'm angry with this and you should tell that Postal Service that they have to take my mail over here and then send it to Omaha and bring it back and then distribute it to me. And I guess they do the same thing with everybody else's. Back and forth, they can't count it over here because they have a magnificent counting system over to Omaha or Sarpy County, wherever. But 42 days is unacceptable. And people need to be fired whether it starts with you or just starts with them. But that's unacceptable behavior. And so you have the influence, and believe in mandated reporting. So I'm here reporting to you, this is unacceptable behavior. And I feel that it's a form of fraud. And so we need to provide good government, and I think you're doing a good job, but I think that you're playing the monkey role and not seeing something, not hearing something. So anyway, thank you for your time.
Mr. Mayor, the next speaker is Loretta Maestro.
Loretta Maestro, 1315 North Broad. 20 years ago, a few people wanted to make Broad Street a 5-lane highway right through town. I asked a gentleman from the State Department of Roads, how do you keep the trucks under control? He said citation. That word will get around. Besides, the money collected for the fine goes to the school system. However, it didn't take long for the state to completely back away from Broad Street and build the bypass. The state DOR has never been Fremont's enemy. Now here we are again. You saw the situation and you voted unanimously no through trucks. Within days of that vote, a new sign went up on 23rd Street designating Broad Street as a truck route. Somebody's not on the same page. Sorry, I lost my place. Oh. When the street reopened, we had about 50 additional trucks from 2 businesses, now calling themselves local. 30 run trucks from the chicken factory are going to Sapp Brothers for fuel and then back to their parking place. The same thing with very heavily loaded trucks from Holstone. How did they get around before, and why are they given Broad Street now? All semis on Broad Street speed. It's just, they do. Twice I've sat on the Military and Broad, and here rolls a semi going too fast to stop. No one is monitoring any of these trucks. Why? We have children from Linda trying to cross Broad after school. I really don't think you are getting the whole story, and perhaps should check with that other page. The safety of people living on Broad is in jeopardy. The safety of the whole city is in jeopardy. Half of the streets are only 2 lanes and some homes 10 feet from the road. Hazmat has always stated it's not if, but when 2 trucks collide and have chemicals they are carrying. Additionally, we already had 3 deaths by semi last year. 1 on the north end, 1 on the south end, and 1 in the middle. I have no idea who was at fault, but I do know had they collided with my car, they probably wouldn't have died. Even worse, the stage is being set for another disaster. You are spending a lot of money to change City Park, hoping people flock to it. Yet you will still be sending speeding semis on the street right next to it. Just last week, a Hunt trucking semi going through Auburn crashed into a building right downtown. What's to keep one out of your new park? This is just crazy. Please do something about it.
Mr. Mayor, the next speaker is John Atwell.
At 1650 North Broad Street. I want to thank the council for this opportunity and thank you for your service to our community. Living on a busy street for over 45 years, as we have lived on Broad Street for over 45 years, It's a through street in a small city. You expect a lot of traffic. I mean, if you don't want a lot of traffic, move to live on a less traveled street. It was, however, encouraging to be told that a South Beltway would help mitigate the increasing amount of traffic of all kinds. After an investment of around $62 million of taxpayer money, little has changed. A further investment of around $2 million was made to resurface Broad Street without improving the roadway foundation, due, we believe, to the belief that truck traffic would be significantly reduced. There has been little reduction to the truck traffic on Broad Street, so I believe soon the taxpayers will be stuck with an even larger bill to pay when the heavy truck traffic erodes this road that was not designed to handle that traffic. We see two possible solutions. One, we could designate Broad Street as US Highway 77 business, since for all intents and purposes, that's what it is. Rebuild the roadway to accommodate the heavy truck traffic and expand it to 4 lanes. Or, rather than pass meaningless laws simply to pacify a small segment of the population, we could significantly slow traffic on Broad Street to 25 miles per hour with 4-way stops at Linden, 16th, and 19th Streets. It wouldn't take long for truck drivers and dispatchers to start using the South Beltway because it would be faster, it would be more convenient for them. Trucks and other loud vehicles would not need to use engine braking as they often do at the stoplight at 16th and Broad. Hear that constantly, because it would not reach speeds that would make that necessary, and local truck traffic would not be impeded. That's all I have to say. And again, thank you very much for listening, and thank you for your service.
Well, we got about 15 minutes left on the public comment. If you have to sign in, come up here by Jody. Oh yeah, there is comment cards up there. I keep forgetting about those.
Mr. Mayor, the next speaker is Ray Tuff.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I just wanted to thank Councilmember Horner and Vaughn for speaking up for the voiceless last meeting. You're exactly right. Each of you are counted on by your constituents to read and know and understand those reports, contracts, and documents that you vote to receive. And when there is a 4-month lag in reporting and you get inaccurate reports, it screams lack of transparency. I would like to restate that these reports are vital to find areas that need improvement or what we can do to make things better. They are also vital to each of you in order for you to enact ordinances, approve annual budgets, and establish long-term community goals, and most of all, protect our tax dollars. Ms. Sanders, your job description per city website is that you coordinate these activities. You not only negotiate these contracts, but you oversee it all. And for you to state that it's none of our business because the FHI is a no-kill and we are not paying per animal, I'm not sure where you're getting that info from, but I must point out to you that if you actually look at these reports, that you will notice on the left-hand side, it states AC in front of each and every animal except for one on Forever Homes reports. That means the city is responsible for them. And after 4 years of an animal being in there, we're paying for vaccines on an animal annually, for their vet care. I assure you that no other community operates like this. Ownership of the animal needs to transfer to FHI after their hold. Does anyone honestly believe that we would put so much interest into the animals that they are responsible for? No, if that was true, we'd be back up here talking about Tank, the dog that's been there for 4 years. The one dog that they are responsible for. The value of them reports are, I can't express to you how vital they are. If you review Chief's reports and FHI's reports, they are nowhere near the same. Please don't ask Chief to do more work. It's not his reports that are not correct. So I just want to thank you guys for actually, looking into that issue. I'm shocked that there was comments of 1 to 3 years. An animal could stay there because of it being a no-kill. That's not okay. Might shock you guys, but most well-ran shelters have animals in there for 2 weeks. You got to get the animals out as soon as they come in. So, please keep working on it and try to get these reports accurate. And thank you.
Ready? All right, we'll call the meeting to order. We'll start with the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, the meeting's called to order. Time is now 7 p.m. The Opens Meeting Act is posted in the back next to the agendas, and a complete copy of the agenda and backup is available on the table at the center of the room. Roll call. Good. All right. Mayor's comments. There will be no discussion from council or public regarding comments made by the mayor. Should anyone have questions regarding the comments, please contact the mayor after the meeting. Tonight I've got service awards. I've got Gerald Honeywell, 20 years of service. Gerald was hired in 2006 as a power plant mechanic. Christina Menking, 10 years of service. Christina was hired in 2016 as a city clerk, office associate. She's here. Alexis Benedict, 5 years of service. Alexis was hired in 2021 as an emergency dispatcher. She's not attending, correct? That's all I have for the mayor's comments tonight. I'll take a motion to adopt the current agenda for the January 27th, 2026 regular city council meeting. Yep. Okay. There's a motion to what? Need a motion to remove item 15. Councilman Jensen,
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
second by Horner. I'll need a motion to adopt the agenda as amended. Councilman Jensen,
I'll make the motion to adopt the current agenda as amended.
Councilman Vaughn,
I will second.
consent agenda. All items on the consent agenda are considered to be routine by the city council and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member, staff, or staff requests, in which the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately. Any removed from council? Councilman Ganem?
I'd like to have items 6, 7, and 8 removed.
Councilman Horner?
Item 9, please.
I'd like to remove 18.
All right, anybody else from staff? I'll take a motion on the consent agenda minus 4, 6, 7, 8, and 18. and nine? Okay, number nine. Okay. Councilman Peterson?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Councilman Vaughn?
Motion to approve all remaining items on the consent agenda other than those already mentioned.
Councilman Horner?
I'll second.
Okay, item 4. Motion to authorize the mayor to sign a letter of support for the Fremont Housing Agency. Staff? Questions from council? Councilman Horner?
No question. I was just gonna make a comment that, I believe that what Michael said would be accurate in what they would be looking for in the letter, so I'll be happy to make the motion unless there are more comments. I suppose we also need to open it up for public comment.
Okay, I'll go to public comment. Seeing none, I'll come back to council. And I'll take a motion.
Yeah, I'll make the motion to amend the letter to, say that, the renewal of the Fremont Housing Authority's designated elderly status.
Councilman Peterson?
I'll second.
Okay. Item number 6, motion to oh, sorry. I'll need a motion to approve as amended. Councilman Horner?
I'll make that motion to approve as amended.
Councilman Vaughn?
Second.
Thank you. Item number 6, motion to receive 2025 financial report for the Department of Utilities. Staff?
Honorable Mayor, City Council, Jennifer Nab, Finance Director. We've written the quarterly report for the Department of Utilities. This is in advance of the full audited financial reports that will come out after the end of March. So this report does give us some insights into 2025 as compared fiscal year 25 ending September 30th as compared to the fiscal year in 24. Overall, the Department of Utilities is in good financial shape. A few items of note are the increased prices just across the board, which I think we're all painfully aware of in our own lives. And also the adjustment that we did, the density study on the coal pile and how much coal that we have there for us. And then just that we expect to see some higher costs in FY26 due to gas being consumed at the electric plant because of Unit 8 being out, and also just the higher gas prices that we're seeing right now for natural gas, given the cold spell we're having right now as an example. But we are seeing costs go up because of inflationary pressures. The other thing I'd point out is as we look at our reserves for each of our funds, we do like to have 8 months worth in each of our funds. The council a few years ago voted to use the reserves in the sewer fund to make the improvements that we did out there that were completed a couple of years ago. We then voted to raise rates slightly for the sewer fund to help replenish those reserves. That's not something that we want to do all at once and hit the people. We did see an increase where we were kind of in the hole last year. Now we've got a month and a half of reserves in the sewer fund. And we do expect that to continue to build up over the next couple of years until we get closer to the 8 months for that fund. And then the other thing I would note is just the planned capital expenditures. We've got quite a bit in the reserves for water, but we have that horizontal well project that we're planning that will eat all of that up. So, and then we still expect to need to bond some. And I will otherwise just open it up to any questions you may have for the Department of Utility report. Thank you.
Councilman Horner?
Thank you, Jennifer. We appreciate always the time put in these. Actually, well, maybe you can answer it, maybe you can't, maybe Jeff will need to answer it. I'm just curious about a density report. How are you doing that? Are you actually taking core samples on the pile, and how do you do the density report? Just, I mean, or the density test? I'm just curious.
And then they check for the compression of the coal. And then there's a density factor that we apply to the surveyed value, and that gives us our tonnage. And then we compare that against our received coal burnt tonnage and our burnt coal that we do measure on our own scales going into the plant. So we have many ways to measure that coal going in. None of them match, but they're checks and balances for each.
And you can see the pile.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Councilman Marsh?
Yeah, I was just curious, is there a timeline or a guide on how long you think it'll take to build up to that 8-month reserve again?
Well, in the last year, we built up about a month and a half. So all things being equal, then, you know, it's going to take us 4 to 5 years to build that back up to the 8-month reserve, which is by intention so that we're not really nailing people with high rates. And as long as we keep overall, when you combine it into all funds, across the funds having 8 months overall, you know, we can borrow as needed. Last year on the financial statements, we showed that the electric fund lent a little money there to the sewer fund, just to make sure that we're whole. In reality, we have one main bank statement for all of those funds, so they're together. We, from an accounting perspective, keep it separate, but you know, we're not in danger of being overdrawn or anything.
So it wouldn't affect any bond?
No. In fact, we, in the last year, when we reissued bonds in September, the S&P reaffirmed our AA negative rating. So, and they took all of that into account, both looking back and then also our projections and our budget. Yep.
Councilwoman Ganem?
No other questions, but I certainly appreciate all the work that you do in keeping us fiscally sound on our financials, and certainly to the Department of Utilities on managing what we need. And we all use it, and we're all impacted by the utilities. So thank you very much.
Any more comments from council? I'll go ahead and open up to public. Seeing none from public, I'll come back to council. Need a motion to receive. Councilman Jensen,
I'll make the motion to receive the financial report for the Department of Utilities.
Councilwoman Ganem,
I second.
Item 7, motion to receive 2025 financial report for the city of Fremont. Staff?
Honorable Mayor, City Council, Jennifer Nab, Director of Finance. This is the financial report for the city. This is FY '25 versus FY '24. And what we're seeing so far as we're looking through and preparing for our audit and our financial statements is that the city kept to its fiscal responsibility and did exactly what it said it was going to do. We spent down reserves on the projects that were approved by council, mainly the fleet building that we're putting together, also the ARPA funds that we'd received from the federal government that we've been using for the stormwater master plan and the clean out that we've been doing in all of our storm sewers, as well as some other projects with ARPA. We also, over the last couple of years, if you look back in the financial statements, we had trouble staffing our police and our fire, and there was big efforts made to get those departments staffed up. So as a result, you're seeing a year over year large variance in our salaries, 1.9 million, 1.5 of those is for our public safety. That also, though, does take into account a few $100,000 there that we had to contribute above and beyond from prior years because of new legislation to support the police and the fire. We are seeing a decline in our revenues. The big change is because we had gotten lots of federal funds, more federal funds in the prior year than in FY '25. And then also because we finished the library project in FY '24, we saw more donations than we saw in FY '25. When you remove those, we did see some modest increases in some of the taxes, property taxes and franchise and sales tax, but they weren't up as much as we had hoped they would be, while we are seeing inflation. And then finally, because we've been spending down those reserves, the amount that we have invested is lower. Interest rates are going down, less investment means that we are seeing a big drop in our investment income as well when we look year over year. And those are some of just the big highlights that we're seeing so far. But overall, when I look at the general fund as an example, again, this is unaudited, but when we look at the balance of that fund, the ending balance, and we compare that to our prepaids and what we're required to hold for the immigration fund, et cetera, our reserves are where we hoped that they would still be at the end of this year, meaning that the committed funds that you guys all voted for in the budget, we have those to do those projects for FY '26 and '27 as intended. And I'm available for any questions.
Councilman Von Baron?
Jen, just a few weeks ago or a month ago, the state auditor's report issued a letter. There was some concern about the funds. I'm not sure I understand all the mechanics, but basically the tax deferrals, deductions due to a number of corporations through the Advantage Act and I believe the Imagine Act. Do we have any sense of where our potential, I know that's a moving target. Do we have any sense of what our potential liability is, whatever you want, however you want to term it?
No. We, unless Jody's gotten some information, we've been working with our representatives to ask that we get more insight ahead of time to any changes in our valuations that would affect our property tax income or anybody, any big corporations that are taking advantage of the Advantage Act or other things that would affect us. We get letters that say that, hey, someone submitted something and it's going to be over $5,000 to change, but we don't know who and we don't know how much until later. So unfortunately, no, I don't, but we just make sure that we're following all the rules and we pay attention to any information that can receive and we ask.
Is there any kind of a number or estimate on our potential liability under those two?
No.
The one thing, and Jennifer mentioned this, that we do get notified when the application for a refund has been received by the state, and then they tell us For example, we recently received one that I believe is a result of that particular, the Nebraska Advantage Act, where in 1 year, in December, the amount that they're going to refund the company in December, or companies, I should say, we don't know, as Jen said, we don't know who it is or how many. But, in 2020, December 2026, the state will be withholding $122,000 of the sales tax receipts to refund it back to one of those companies. So they give us basically a year's notice. Moving forward, we are working with our economic development plans, so that as companies come to us and maybe they're asking perhaps for LB 840 or tax increment financing and all of those kinds of things, we're asking those questions as the development is happening to make sure that we understand what the impact of those companies coming to our community really will be.
All right, thank you.
Anything else from council? I'll open it to the public. Seeing none, I'll come back to council. I need a motion to receive. Councilwoman Ganem,
I move we receive financial report 2025 to the city of Fremont.
Councilwoman Lathrop,
I will second that.
thank you. Item number 8, motion to receive Keene Memorial Library 2024-25 annual report.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, City Council. Laura England Biggs, Library Director, Keene Memorial Library. I'm glad to have this opportunity to go over the wonderful successes that our library has had in the past year. I know you've all had a chance to look at the staff report. I do need to point out one typographical error on the staff report. The 4th paragraph, programming rose from 9,920 in fiscal year 2024, not 2025, because in 2025 it was 21,784 in attendance at our 574 programs. The years got flipped and I put the wrong file in packet. Really, we had another great year. This was our first full year being open after the expansion project. We just marched past that first year marker. We added over 1,000 new borrowers. We increased programming by over 300 specific offerings. We had 1,200 meetings, which is almost 3 times as many as we had last year. And those meeting rooms are constantly in use. I was just visiting today with a representative from Holstone Farms to talk about the computer lab they sponsored and how do we do more to make people aware of what the various sponsors have done for the library. So watch for some of that in the future. Really, on the way up in the elevator, I was talking with Troy Shaben about the leap in circulation. We went from 2022, we had 149,683 items checked out. We didn't report 2023 because that was the off year in the auditorium where everything was just not normal. We went back to 2024 with a partial year of 161,000, and then last year was over 200,000. All I can do is attribute that to the hard work of the people you see on the back page of the report. None of the numbers on that wonderfully dry spreadsheet would be possible without the wonderful staff that we have. And I open it up for questions.
Questions from council? Councilman Horner?
Thank you, Mayor. And thank you, Laura. Appreciate the update. You know, Sally beat me to it on this one. I was gonna pull it also, just simply because I just think it's good to be able to talk about this openly and publicly. And I'm just really impressed with the data, the numbers. You know, 574 programs with almost 22,000 people in attendance. You know, 1,200, little over 1,200 meetings with, you know, just under 6,900 in attendance. I mean, those numbers are just astounding to me that building is being used and utilized that much. You know, if this continues to grow and continues on, I think you know, we're going to get every bit of our money out of that on the investment spent. And just kudos to you guys to managing through that and keeping it going.
Councilwoman Gannon?
Because that's why I also pulled it, because we're doing such fantastic increases in work and serving community members, children, adults, senior citizens across the board. And that meeting room is constantly used practically. Both of them are. And so try to get a meeting there sometime. But it's a beautiful place to go to. The ability to access all kinds of information via virtual or physical is just unbelievable. So if you haven't had a chance to visit our newer library, that's a year old already, please do so. But I was very proud of Fremont, the work that the board did in raising the funds to help fund that, the offset for our community. And our community was very supportive. They did pass a $2 million bond issue to get us started, but that was about a $12 million project. And that worked out well. I think we're getting our money's worth on that. And please visit if you haven't done so. And I think you would agree with that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Gannon.
More comments from council? We go to public comment? Seeing none, I'll come back to council to receive the motion. Councilman Jensen?
I'll make the motion to receive the library report from the Keene Memorial Library and thank Laura for her work.
Councilwoman Gannon?
I second that.
Item number 9, motion to receive annual report for Main Street of Fremont.
Hello, excuse me. My name is Lainey Paquette. I'm the Executive Director of Main Street of Fremont, going on 3 years now. As you've seen in our report, we've had a lot of things happening downtown this year. Thanks to the CDBG funding that the city helped secure, we've actually seen several facade improvements downtown happening throughout this year. We had 4 of those with different buildings, and I think 3 of them were funded by the CDBG funding. So that has been awesome, and I think there's been a very good domino effect as that's continued through our beautification, obviously, that we work with the BID. And there's been a total reinvestment this year of $391,062. The way that we get that number, I know it's a little confusing if you're not used to it. Let me verify my notes because I want to get this formula right for you guys. We take the facade and building improvement projects total, new construction total, and our volunteer hours, which we value at $34.79 an hour, and then our grants total and our public improvement projects total to get that number. This year, we had 5 new businesses open, which has brought 17 new jobs to our district. And we also have had 15 programs and events. Most of those events you're probably pretty familiar with, things like concerts in the park, our gallery walks, Color the Core, which is kind of evolved out of Crazy Days. But another event that is new this year, it's one of our programs, is Main Street Mingles. So this is an opportunity for entrepreneurs established or aspiring in the Fremont community to come together, and they can get resources from us about different funding opportunities, connections with different businesses that they might need, and then also to connect with other entrepreneurs so they can talk about, where are they challenged and where do they need some advice? Where do they want to celebrate because maybe they had a great achievement that year, and just also to kind of have camaraderie with other entrepreneurs. if you are an entrepreneur, you know that it's kind of lonely and nobody really gets it. So we've created this space to kind of allow them to come together and find community in that. And then in the report, you will also see some of the building rehabilitation projects. The Empress Theater and Nebraska Quilt Company were two that were funded by CDBG. And those were some really significant improvements for our downtown district. And I think that's all the highlights. So I will open it up to questions.
Councilman Horner?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Laney, for the report. I pulled this only because I wanted that to be stated in public, and I just wanted a chance to talk a little bit about it. I mean, it's just, you know, it really, I work downtown, so I get to see it all the time now that we're back downtown. It is just great to see all the stuff that you see going on downtown. And when I look at some of the metrics and the numbers, I mean, you know, does the money that's been invested in the facade and the building rehab, is that just the grant money, or does that include the money that the match portion of that the owner has to put up to?
That is all of it. So it is partly grant and then private.
Okay, so you know, you're seeing skin in the game by the owners of those buildings down there, and then you scroll down on the report to see the before and after on two of the examples, and I mean, there really is kind of a stunning difference on that. You know, and you know, I look at the 15 programs and events. You had 12.5 thousand attendees at those events. That's just a lot of activity and traffic going downtown. And just thought that was worth pulling and talking about.
Any more comments from council? If not, I'll go to the public. Seeing none, I'm back to council for a motion. Councilman Horner?
If there aren't any more comments, I would make the motion that we receive the 2025 financial report for annual report for Main Street of Fremont.
Councilwoman Ganem?
I second.
Item number 18, resolution 2026-030, authorizing the mayor to sign cooperation agreement for partial 2701-39527 with Res Group.
Mayor, City Council, Jeff Shanahan, Utility General Manager. The Department of Utilities has been through a number of different studies on the water system and electric system, been looking at gas pipeline improvements, and all of these things have led us to know that we're going to have to grow in the future. So as part of that process, we started looking for what property would be available and how we would stage all these projects together and where we would locate them to maximize all of our utilities and our resources. So we went through a number of different properties and we identified an area up north of town, and we reached out to the landowner and started talking to him about trying to purchase this land, and we discovered that it had an option on it. So before we can do any kind of a purchase agreement with the owner, the option has to be removed from the property. So talking to the property owner and the company that had the option on the land, they agreed to release that option on that land. They're looking at a couple different parcels for projects, and they would like, not necessarily, we can't control it because city council and planning controls all the approval processes, but it would be zoned similar to what our property is going to be zoned for. So the utilities would not have an issue with that. So what we're asking for here is the first step of the process of acquiring that land, and that is to have the mayor sign the cooperation agreement with Res, the people that have the option. Once that option has been released and is registered, I guess, off of the property, then we can proceed with the next phase of getting the purchase agreements all put together. So this is step one of acquiring that land.
Questions from council? Councilman Horner?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate it. the purchase of the land, I just want to make sure that everyone understands and is clear on this is really a forward-looking, this is a forward-looking and proactive measure to make sure that we're able to keep growing and keep providing the, the utilities and everything that we need to, as Fremont continues to grow, et cetera. When we look at the cooperation agreement, though, can you break it down on exactly? Because when I read it, there's some lawyerly words and everything in here, or wording and everything in here, and maybe Travis can do a better job on that. But Travis, what exactly are we committing to here just on the cooperation agreement? I don't see any price. I don't see anything like that in here. So it looks like we're just agreeing to work with, Res America Development Incorporated, but I'm not exactly sure on what all we're agreeing to work on.
Yeah, certainly. So this agreement is, it does just that. It says that the city will work with RES when they come back with their project that'll be on the land adjacent to the one that we are pursuing purchasing. This is being provided so RES was more comfortable releasing their option, knowing that they can come back to any future council or planning commission and say, hey, you guys said you would work with us. We've been good partners with the city. Let's, move this forward in a positive way. There's nothing tangible that the city's agreeing to other than we would treat them the same as we would treat any other developer. Show a good faith for future consideration.
Councilman Jensen?
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of explain that, maybe have Jeff touch on a little bit, how unique this property is, where, I mean, we've already got the substation there. How easily it is for the utilities to be mined there. We've got that part of the infrastructure's in place already. If you could just touch on that a little bit for the public.
Yeah, when we started looking at all the different properties, ideally, we wanted to be close to a substation. That's number one. And then we have to have a fuel supply. Well, this property happens to have a natural gas line, and we're going to be doing some gas line improvements. So we're going to be modifying that a little bit in that area. But the gas line that comes out of our north border station runs through this property right now. There is a water line going up there. It's about a 12-inch water line. So we would have city water if we were to put in any kind of generation type of facility. The other thing it'll allow us to do is possibly in the future, as loads increase on our water system, be able to potentially either put in water storage tank or booster pumps in that type of system that would improve the water pressure out in the western part of town. As you know, all of our water is produced in the southeast corner of Fremont. And then you have pressure drops across town as it moves through our piping system. So if we get to a point where we need to boost that pressure up a little bit, we'll have access to a line out there. So pretty much all of our utilities, exception of sewer, it'll have some advantages for. We think it's a great project for the area and a great project for Fremont. Or will be a great project.
Anybody else on council? Now to go to the public comment. Seeing none, I'll come back to council for a motion. Councilman Jensen?
I'll make the motion to approve resolution 2026-030.
Councilman Horner?
I'll second.
New business, item 19, resolution 2026-025, amending the contract with Sampson Construction, increasing the guaranteed maximum price bid from package one, $6,351 to bid package number two at $13,044,000. Total cost of $19,996 for the police, Fremont Police Headquarters and Fremont Dodge County Call Center, 911 Center. Staff?
Mayor, City Council, Dan Gillis, Director of Public Works, thanks for your time. So this is the second part to the bid package that you all approved October 14th for $6.3 million. The second part of the design of this was finished and Sampson completed the bid, and that final bid number came in at $0.996 million. That includes some FF&E that were added to the contract, and also some unforeseen site conditions that they've experienced on the site so far. We do have, by the way, the prime contractor here, if you have detailed questions about any of the construction work.
Questions for Councilman Horner?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Dan. We appreciate it. Not so much as a question, but maybe you can, well, maybe a little bit of a clarification. You know, on first glance at this thing, when you say with the way it's worded, you know, we're asking for a increase, it almost looks like we're doubling the price on this project, but this really is still in line exactly with what we approved pretty much. Correct?
There's some shortfall, and that's again based on some things that were added to the contract. Shifting budgets from internal, so police department and 911 doing sort of FF&E fit out on their own. We're shifting that over to the contract. And then again, unforeseen site conditions. So there's a shortfall in the budget, which we'll have to compensate for by either realigning funds from other projects that we can find, or other methods if we can. But so it's close. It's within, you know, their bid minus the FF&E things that we added in the unforeseen items were within 1.5% of the anticipated budget.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions from council? Seeing none, I'll go to public comment. Seeing none, I'll come back to council for a motion. Councilman Vaughn,
Make a motion to approve.
Councilman Horner,
I'll second.
take a motion to adjourn. Councilman Horner,
I will make a motion to adjourn.
Councilman Jensen,
I will second. Go Big Red.
all right, we're adjourned. Oh.
Thanks, I'm sorry. Thought I touched it. Not hard enough.